The engine roared to life as I sat in the driver's seat, ready for a late-night drive to clear my mind. The darkness outside enveloped the world, and the only sounds were the hum of the car and the distant chirping of crickets. I pressed my foot on the gas pedal, and the car glided into motion. The road stretched out before me, a ribbon of asphalt disappearing into the black void. I felt a strange sense of solitude, as if I were the only person left in the world. The headlights cut through the darkness, illuminating the trees that lined the road. Their branches reached out like skeletal fingers, casting eerie shadows on the ground. As I drove further into the night, a sense of unease began to creep up my spine. The silence seemed to grow thicker, suffocating. The road twisted and turned, taking me deeper into an unfamiliar territory. A chill ran down my spine as I noticed a figure standing by the side of the road, its form barely visible in the dim light. I slowed down, my curiosity getting the better of me. As I drew closer, I realized the figure was a woman, her tattered dress blowing in the wind. Her eyes, wide and haunting, bore into mine as if pleading for help. I rolled down the window, calling out to her, but she remained silent, her lips unmoving. A sense of foreboding washed over me, but I couldn't ignore the desperation in her eyes. I made the impulsive decision to offer her a ride, believing it to be an act of kindness. She got into the back seat, her presence casting a shadow of unease over the car. As I continued driving, the atmosphere grew heavier, as if a storm was brewing just beyond the horizon. The woman in the back seat became restless, her breathing shallow and erratic. I stole glances at her through the rearview mirror, but her expression remained blank, devoid of any emotion. Suddenly, the car began to sputter, the engine choking on itself. Panic seized me as I struggled to maintain control. The headlights flickered, casting a dim glow on the road ahead. A sense of isolation washed over me, and I realized there was no sign of civilization in sight. The woman in the back seat began to whisper, her voice barely audible over the failing engine. Her words were indistinct, an eerie chant that sent shivers down my spine. The car came to a complete halt, and the darkness outside pressed against the windows like a suffocating presence. Fear gripped me as I turned to face the woman. Her eyes blazed with a malevolent light, her lips curled into a sinister smile. I reached for the door, desperate to escape, but it wouldn't budge. The air grew thick with a foul stench, and the woman's voice grew louder, her whispers turning into a maniacal laughter. In that moment, I realized I had made a grave mistake. The woman was no ordinary passenger. She was a ghost, a harbinger of death, luring unsuspecting victims into her clutches. As her laughter echoed in the darkness, I braced myself for the horrors that awaited, trapped in a nightmare from which there was no escape.